Welcome everyone to Politically High Tech with your host Elias. If you want to call this episode a blast from the past, so to speak, yeah, because this guest, I asked him to come back because it was a very good conversation, and if this was my personal podcast Olympics, he will get the silver medal.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, silver medal. But who knows? Can he take the gold medal? Because so far, the current gold medal, he says he's not interested right now. Maybe next year. So there's a chance maybe Jordan could become the tech guest gold medalist.
Default.
Hey,
Nice.
yeah. So, hey, am I plotting? Yeah, maybe. Yeah, feel free to express in the comment section. Am I plotting something? Yeah, I like the little conspiracy theory going. It's a little entertaining, especially includes me. I know, especially if I know it's not true, but I'll entertain it. Yes, I'm plotting something. Yeah, I'm gonna. Oh, but in all seriousness, yeah, he just couldn't make it. I was like, I get that. But hey, we got Jordan here. He was another great guest, and thank you, listeners, for making him that great. And he's the founder of Satori Met AI, and they're very predictive AI models where they communicate with each other. And I'm not going to be this repetitive because if you want to get into the technical stuff, what's it really about, listen to the last episode. I'll be episode 227, and I'll put that a link in the description. And for YouTube exclusive only, it'll be one of the cards in the beginning, most likely at the top right corner. Those little information cards, it'll pop up somewhere in the beginning, maybe about now. But if you missed it, don't worry. It's going to be in the link in the description. So you got your ways of getting that episode, because there's one thing I'm not going to do. I am not going to rehash that conversation, and neither should Jordan. Okay? I'm not going to do that. We humans, we don't like repetitive crap. This is what AI is good for. AI should be taking these boring repetitive tasks and conquer that. I could care less about that point. That's good. Free us to do more creative things, right? I mean, that's the positive side of AI. Well, we already know the negative side. AI is going to take our jobs and kill us all. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I'm sure you heard it 1,000 times. Before I get into it, Jordan, introduce yourself. What do you want the listeners and viewers to know about you, especially those who are just tuning in?
Sure. Yeah, and thanks for having me back, because that conversation was so fun. The first one we had, I really enjoyed it. So last time we talked about Satori a lot. So I was founding a project called Satori, open source, not for profit, nonprofit, and so I was the founder of that, and I've kind of let that community move on a little bit. There's other people that wanted to take control, so I'm waiting for that to kind of end. So anyway, that's kind of where I'm at, and in the meantime, I'm building kind of some of the original vision on my own, and kind of in the shadows. So I'm building up just a code base that would kind of accomplish those things.
I want to talk to you, slimy people. Say this right now. How dare you ruin something? Well, you ruined something temporarily. Let's just say that. You just put a setback. Let me just be more precise. You could disrupt, you could try to take over all you want, but that doesn't last. Remember those coup rebellions? History people, basic histories. A lot of these coups don't last forever because they fight among each other. They're all demons, then the thieves, at least in their heart and spirit. Yeah, I'm getting a little spiritual and historical here. And someone start fighting each other because they all want that control. But do they have the brains to replicate, or even better yet, evolve that vision? 99 out of 100 times, that's a hell no. Simple answer, okay? So when you get rid of someone, not get rid of, but once you have someone who's no longer, the original founder, visionary of it, things take an interesting turn, and 9 out of 10 times not for the better. Because you forget your why, you either toss out the window, or a little more naive reason, you forget your why, right? And sadly that's a shame, because I was actually looking forward to that email I'm involved. I was like, but it's a setback. It's not a failure. Let's just be clear about that. It's just a setback. And setbacks will happen. What can you do about it? This is a little development I'm plugging in there. You can either cry about it, let it be permanently ruined, or you could bounce back.
That's right. That's right.
Those are
You
your two options. Go ahead.
Yeah, to build something. Yes. You got to use the energy you're given. Yeah.
Yep, because a lot of people will do in this situation. They'll cry, feel sorry for themselves. Why me? Well, to be honest, you and I are not that special in that. And I'm talking to you, the viewers. It's going to happen to us at some point because some people think you have good intentions, and sometimes not our fault because we want to do what's best. Then, they have a smiley, that old angelic, and by the time when that right time comes, the filthy intentions we expose. And some of us are surprised, and some people now not as surprised. Me, I tend not to be surprised because I have a more cynical view of humanity. Sometimes my intuition said this one was not good, but how I'm going to explain that to somebody if you don't have the documents or the proof? Me personally, sometimes I keep it shut until I can build the case that this person is no good. So that's a sad part. You got to have some proof. Just this person's bad. Intuitively, you be ahead of the curve. But if you act on those instincts too quickly, you look crazy. So that's a conundrum. That's a conundrum right there. Right? It is such a long-term game, and I'm not the most patient person in the world, so it's even infuriating to me personally. Comment section activity, I normally would encourage you to be a little nasty with me, but this one, I don't think so. Just look, finding something, even running a business, even if it fails, I give them credit because it's not an easy thing to do. And very few people are willing to do that. A lot of people rather just be a little worker, be miserable, get a paycheck. Unless you're happy with that, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But there's a lot of people that's miserable doing that, and they don't even dare to find something or create a business.
It's hard.
So I have yeah. And I have, ever since starting this podcast, I have so much more respect for business people. And because sometimes you say, oh, these business people are kind of a-holes and this, that. But now I get it. I get it because it's like, we put it vaguely and generally, but there are just some people that if you act sadly too kind, you see kindness is a weakness, some of them, they're going to act up. And that's just so freaking, unfortunate. But like I said, again, it's not a failure because a failure would have been Jordy giving up crying and this episode will never happen.
Yeah.
So that's, this is an indicator right here. Look, even though he went through a tough situation, he's mostly, he's still upbeat about it. So that's resilience right there. And me, probably I would have been more of an angry person, and then I would have get back at that person and did more authoritarian things. Okay, this person's gone. We're going to change some things around here. That's just me, but everybody do things differently. And me says, I'm not part of that community. I don't know if I was going to be part of that community, to be honest. Unless, I don't know. I tend to pick up things very quickly. I did took an IQ test. I'm going to brag a little bit. I ended up scoring 170. So maybe I could pick that up.
Of course.
So I've read coding without having the background. I've read what it meant, and I was able to fix some stuff that requires a tech background. Not to bash them, but some tech background people, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be bashing some tech people. Some of y'all are not the brightest people, and I'm going to say why, because you just stick to A, B, C, systemic analysis. Wow, it could be outside of the system. Sometimes it's good to insert some creativity into it. And I got to shout out to this girl. Very smart girl in IT. Sequoia Blue. I got to shout out to her that she is creative and an IT person. I say, hi, to be honest, you need more of that. Some of them sound like, I don't understand. I'm just a computer. I'm not talking to a robot or a human being. Make up your mind. Make it make sense. Come on. I criticize a lot of them. And I'm going to swear, don't blame me, guess here. Blame me. I don't care. Half of them sound like bitches, to be honest, when they complain. I'm going to be honest. Unless I don't respect you. In Riverside's customer service, even though I use Riverside, I had to solve the problems myself. This is someone who doesn't have a strong tech background, but I'm willing to figure it out. The customer service sucks. I had to figure out my own what's wrong with it. Okay. And thanks to this podcast, it's taught me to be more tech savvy. Like I said, I'm a well informed consumer. That's how I label myself. Because
Nice.
I'm willing to learn the darn thing and get it done. All right, enough patting myself in the back. Because if I didn't have this persistent anger to get it done, like turns anger to something. I don't know. Maybe I would have been crying in the bed. It was like, why does life suck? Jory
That
could have done the same thing.
you gotta use
Oh,
that anger, because people will do things that make you angry, and it's a power, like they've given you a force, and I remember reading this book when I was like 20. It changed my life because it gave me a different perspective, literally, on anger that I had never had before. And because I grew up kind of in a religious household, anger was like to be shunned. It was like a bad thing. You'd never be angry. And so, I mean, that's just repressed anger, right? And so I read this book called The Angry Book that just talked about anger all the time. And it gave me a healthier perspective on anger and how to use it for energy and it's okay to be angry, to give yourself permission. And then once you have that permission, then you can use it and you can create whatever you want. I mean, you don't have to just go be in a rage all the time. I mean, you can convert it. So, yeah.
that's exactly right. And I eventually had to learn that around the same around in my 20s. I'll say mid 20s, a little later, because there's times anger used to people thought I was the nicest person. Some people thought I was the most demonic person.
Mm,
Because once I get angry, it pops up and it comes out of nowhere, no warning shots. And I said, no, anger must have a purpose. I mean, I'm sure it does. I don't care what society has to say. I mean, I always kind of challenge society. That's always been my thing. I always like to be somewhat of a contrarian. I said, no. And if anger shouldn't exist, why we have it in the first place? Why does it exist? That's like trying to, I don't know, if you want to be smart, it's like ripping your prefrontal cortex. Is that going to make you smarter? No, I'm pretty sure it's going to do the opposite. Okay, that's your thinking, your feelings, all that connected in there. Your planning, strategizing, that's there. That's sort of the bosses of all the other regions of the brains too. All right, so and listen, people just say some of the dumbest things, and we accept them and make them norm, and that's what infuriates me. Because if anger wasn't allowed, why we have it? And let me use even a biblical example. Jesus was angry sometimes.
that's right.
Should you shun him for that? You want to shun him? You want to? I don't care what you atheists think. You're in your own little weird world. But you want religious people, I'm talking to you. You want to shun that? You want to do that? Huh? Huh? Look, I wish I could just throw the holy water through the screen and freaking burn the demons out of you right now. But I can't do that. You're just dealing with a digitized version of me. So be lucky that I got that much grace just to talk to you through a digital screen. All right? All right, let me stop bashing the religious folk, even though some deserve it. I'm not going to apologize. I'm not going to change your mind. This is how I truly, genuinely feel, and this is what I think for a long, long time. Okay, so before we get to this turned to a unexpected development episode. That's fine. Going off the rails is part of this podcast sometimes. Don't worry, we're gonna talk some AI stuff. Don't worry. But I just think we need to bring these things out because not everything is digitized. We still need humans, and humans are gonna do some slimy things, until AI is fully automated that it could do so much stuff. Maybe we need less humans. I mean, what's one tool? I'm not sure it's AI included. I won't be surprised. Japan has figured out solutions how to, make lazy people bathe only 15 minutes. You go in their little shower thing, it washes you up, does everything for you. Japanese are generally clean people and scientifically smart people. But, I probably surprised there's very few that was stinky. They didn't want to shower, so they probably come up with a little solution. And I like it. I wonder when America's going to come up with that. Maybe after they have a monopoly and political control. I'm going to be cynical about that because America used to be pretty innovative. America needs to be innovative again. I'm just going to end it there. Anything else you want to add before I change the subject?
I would say if you go through a hard time, you've gone through a struggle, something that's, I always remember back to this experience that I had as a kid. So my mom likes to hike, so she hikes mountains and whatever. I kind of like it too, but I decided to give it a try. So when I was like 10 years old, I like hiked a mountain, like all the way. And it was, grueling and difficult. And I remember being like halfway up and I hadn't turned around to look at like the scenery, the entire hike. And I'm halfway up and I'm kind of complaining about how difficult it is. And my mom's like, why don't you turn around? Why don't you just take a look? And I did. And I was like shocked that we were like in the stratosphere. I was like, oh my God. So, and so when you find yourself in situations, like you've been in a grind and it's been difficult or, something, I always try to like look back on the progress that's been made and be like, okay, well, that changed me in these ways. I'm different now. So, I think that's always helpful too.
Of course, because I think humans, we're so negatively averse. Let negative stuff affect us a lot quicker and more profoundly than the positive stuff. So remember that, people. I'm actually wearing my mature hat now. Listen to that, people. That's really good advice. Because we tend to forget once we deal with this roadblocks, it's get angry and upset. But if you look back on the progress you made, you'll be shocked. So that's a good analogy, believe it or not. That hiking analogy is very fitting here because you can even think about that with your progress. Losing fat. I don't say weight, fat. Because me, I'm pretty chunky, so I gotta start working on that at some point. Also, progress in your career. Look back. You used to be just this cashier. Now you an advisor to the CEO. That's a big career ladder that you climbed on there. That's nothing to be upset or even belittle about. That's you gotta look back at that that's just not just looking back at the progress and also gratitude. I know it's easier said than done. I'm a work in progress on that. This is why, at least with my anger, is more short term than having it long term. And this is why I'm not looking very old yet, even though I am in my mid 30s, so, and well, except for maybe the glasses part. Yeah. Yeah. 4 eyes, whatever. I always liked the glasses. I thought glasses were cool. So
Yeah, cool.
there you go. Mission accomplished on that front. But all of seriousness, this is really good advice here, people. If you want to be a Reddit troll and disagree, fine. Just know that you're hurting yourself. Not me, not Jordan. You're hurting yourself. It's just like you're drinking the poison. You're expecting me or Jordan to die. That's how nonsensical that is. Yourself is drinking the poison, but you expect me and him to die. No, 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 no. It don't work like that. Well, he's drinking something more pleasant than poison. I'll say that much. It's not that he would have dropped already, and then we had a failed episode. And I probably will, and I most definitely when I upload, I was like, damn, what happened? But all the seriousness, this is good advice. And look, I don't mind this podcast is about development as well, so it actually ties in. That'll be known. That's a third type episode. We're gonna talk. Don't worry, we're gonna talk about plenty AI, but you still need to go through the human experience, ironically, because humans are not going to go away, at least not anytime soon. Despite you hear the warnings of World War III, AI takeover, all that other stuff, I'm sure we're going to figure most of that out, and then we're going to have new problems and new progress along the way. This is human evolution going all over again. And just think about the historical perspective. We used to be just nomads, farmers, cave people. Look where we're at now. We're using advanced technology. I'll say for the most part, we're smarter. Ethics, I'm a bit mixed on that, but hey, that's a good debate. As human got more ethical, there's some cases they have, and there's some cases they haven't. I don't know. That would be a very good debate. Has human ethics gotten better? Well, I'm been mixed. I could say yes or no. I'm more of a yes. I don't like being in that camp. But after doing deep digging, I think I'm definitely yes or no camp. I'm at the center again. When you think deep, you'd be more censored than you think, especially in politics. Let's just use abortion. I used to think I was to the right after I heard about feasibility of the pregnancy and all, and all of that. I was like, yeah. I mean, that's a uniquely woman experience, and I think I just had to just think families should talk about it if the man's of all, if the man is still present, of course, and all that. So I lean more to the center now. Before I used to start to the right, I was like, oh no, no baby should be aborted at all. Find a way to make it work. I lean to the center on that. What's the other thing I lean more to the right on? Oh, fiscal responsibility. Yeah, I'm definitely more Republican. I agree. The Republicans that used to be fiscally responsible, they have been fiscally responsible, especially in the federal level. But I ain't gonna be too political. The big beautiful bill, the debts went up, $38 trillion. Who's surprised? Not me. Nobody wants to do spending cuts, real spending cuts. Neither party. So hey, and that's all I'm gonna say about that. All right, let's get into the state of AI from 2024 and 2025. I'm sure there are some differences. I mean, I want to start off with video creation. I mean, video creation of AI has exploded, and I'm gonna add some historic and politics into it because some dead historical figures have been revived to do nonsensical things. And one
Yeah.
example, one example from Sora, they used freaking Mr. Rogers and Bob Ross. They put them in a WWE match. What's your opinion on that?
The video creation, it's just going to get wild. I mean, I kind of see this AI as externalizing our intelligence, but with that, it also externalizes our imagination. And so anything somebody can think is now available for anybody else to think it too, because they can see it. So it's just going to get wild. Yeah. I don't mind it. I mean, it's kind of it's fine, I guess. I mean, to the extent it kind of comes back to the idea of like, we talked about religious stuff a little bit ago. So we've always had this problem where we're like, well, are certain people or certain concepts or certain characters sacred? I mean, and in some groups they are, and in other groups they don't care. And so, but we all most of us seem to agree that we humans live on a different level and that we should be tolerant of other ideas. And so if they want to do that, that's fine. It's not something I'm going to go seek out and watch and be interested in, but it's just somebody's idea. That's all.
Yeah, and to be extra historical here, they have one that they altered. Martin Luther King said, "I have a dream," and he ran. And instead of having a inspiring speech, I have a dream that we all gonna die, and then he just ran away. I said, "Oh my." I said, I won't be surprised the regulators and they're already in talks of restricting it because of crazy stuff like this.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't mind about cats and dogs committing crime. It's ridiculous. It's over the top. It's funny. I have nothing to say about that. I'm Team Cat, by the way. Very biased here. But it was cute when a cat was doing a little drive by, and I was okay. It's ridiculous. It's over the top. I chuckled a bit. Would I really support a cat doing that? No. I think that's when I change my mind and start jumping out the cat camp. If they could, I mean, they're already vicious enough. They could scratch your eyes out. They don't need to be carrying guns or anything like that. I'm sure they would have shot down some human beings already. The way some of their tendencies were. Let me just be honest. This is coming from a cat lover here. Especially they don't like you because they
Yeah.
pick you. You don't pick them. As a
That's right.
cat, the dog is the opposite. Dog go fights for your approval. Cat is the opposite. No. You need to fight for my approval. Okay, that's not all right. Let's just be absolutely clear about that. What else on AI? Oh, and another one that's gonna definitely bring debate of copyright laws. Oh, anime. They recreate some Dragon Ball Z scenes and use. I know I'm going a bit wacky here. One Punch Man versus Son Goku. and now the Japanese government is waiting and said, whoa, this is copyright infringement using our IP just for your entertainment. Is this a problem that we're gonna have to tackle, like copyright, IP, um, infringement or violations?
I hope it goes more of a decentralized route because it's so much, right? I mean, I can make content all day, and is everybody going to sue me? I mean, you can't overrun the court system with, IP infringement. So it feels to me more like eventually it has to go to this realm where it's like, well, who created it? That's just as important as what it was. Who created it? And then if you can identify who they were cryptographically, saying, no, we know this identity, it was signed, we know who created this. If you can do that, then some people will respect it, some people won't. IP is something I don't love. I came from kind of an Austrian economics background, very kind of pseudo-anarchists, kind of out there saying, we don't need all this control. It's not a big deal. And one of the people that I learned about in my early 20s again was Ayn Rand, and all of her ideas about, her basic premise was, well, you can just decentralize everything if you had enough technology or you had enough political, will or whatever. And she had arguments for, like, you could literally do this with the police. You could do it with, whatever army you might need and whatever. And so she had this very open, right, kind of idea of society. And yet, as soon as other people started repeating what she had said, and she kind of got a following, and she started, like, getting mad that people were saying those things, and she's like, no, those are my ideas, they belong to me. And I'm like, well, do ideas belong to people? I mean, it's kind of like the cat thing. Maybe they choose you, you don't know. So kind of his IP feels like an area where you should just kind of give up control a little bit, because you're not going to be able to control it. And if you want to control it, like satire, the F1 or the racing tire company or whatever, they guard their tires very carefully, and back in the day, glass makers guarded their secret very carefully. And so new technology is always guarded, and that's the stuff that, people want to keep. It's kind of feels like if you can't keep it secret, it's not secret. It belongs to everybody. So you're just going to have to deal. That's kind of my attitude on IP.
Well, so for the authoritarians, you've been nicely, vaguely called out, including Ayn Rand.
Yeah.
The originator, ironically. So, I mean, look, I think, to me, I would just say, as long as there's no monetary use, I'm okay with it. That to me, that's just my little nuance. As long as it's not, like, if it's just for fun, people just, consuming it with no monetary benefit, why the hell not? If anything, it might even make these IPs even more popular, ironically. People might want to look up, oh, what's this Goku? What's this One Punch Man or whatever, right? And look, don't be paranoid. Don't be paranoid, because don't become like Nintendo. Nintendo sues for every little thing. And I don't want to get into that. I can give you a lot of articles where Nintendo have sued, and most of the time they win because of this. So as long as it's not, it's and let me just be honest. I've seen some AI creators use Mario. Yeah, Mario. Oh, this is like you're really daring here, because Nintendo, I will say, it's very, if I'm going to be nice, very authoritarian with their IP. They are just very authoritarian. If you use Mario of any way, even just a symbol, and if they get a whiff of it, they're gonna send a cease and desist. And then if you're gonna fight back a little bit, then you're go look in court. I hope we got Donald Trump's wallet or better, because you're gonna be in for a long fight. Okay, and you're at a disadvantage already. I'm just being honest. Like, I wish it wasn't that way. I agree with a good chunk what Jordan says. To me, as long as they're not making enough to me like a big profit off of it, then I'm not going to call it robbery. It's just if they spend their own money to do that's their choice. A little charity event here. Here's a fight that we never had. And I could use AI just to generate that. And look, I'm in for it. A lot of it are laughable, and there's a lot of fast shaming with AI, but I tend to laugh because it's super over the top ridiculous. Fast shaming is like a freaking 1,000 pound obese woman doing cartwheel flips and then she breaks the ground during an Olympic event. I mean, it's hilarious, but it is fat shaming. Let's be real, but it's still hilarious. It's still hilarious to me. It's hilarious. But this is what you could do with AI. I mean, you could create over the top ridiculousness, and that's my humor. If I see something that's so ridiculous, I'm gonna laugh.
Yeah.
I'm gonna laugh. And let's be honest, we talked about human bias before. This is human biases being transported. And for better or worse. Some is entertaining, some could be offensive. I've seen some offensive ones. Stereotypes of Latinas, black people, or even white people. Let's just throw in there because I'm not one of those that's look, I agree there's some racism in America, but I am not the type that's going to demonize every single white person. I think that's utterly ridiculous. There's only those in power I would like to attack. That includes politicians and higher level, even some celebrities. I'll criticize those. But just demonizing every single white person is just as racist, to be honest. And I think we need to treat the problem more holistically. If you want to call me a white savior, you're stupid, but you're entitled to be stupid, but you're not entitled to the truth. That's all I'm going to say about that. Yeah, this is this is the state of AI, the silliness. Is there any? Let me ask a more serious question now. Is there any more AI trends that we should be paying attention to? In
Well,
general.
the AI trend that I'm paying very close attention to is AI programming. Because I'm a creator and my medium is code. It's logic and it's code and it's computers and how they talk to each other and what they do. And so I pay very close attention to that very closely, and it's moving fast. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know if that's of any interest to your listeners or you.
No, well, this whatever is what we should be paying attention to. I think we should be paying attention to how it's built and all that, so we have an idea. Sure, we could get more creators of that. We could definitely use more producers. We don't have enough of that. We have a lot of content consumers, right? It's like a ratio of 1 to 100
Yeah.
producers versus consumers. So we could definitely use more creation. I mean, why not? Why not? I mean, shoot, me, I use NVIDIA AI and I've created some episodes. One of my most popular one was about law enforcement AI. Ooh, I got some mixed comments. Some were supportive of it, and some were just saying, you're just exacerbating more racism. Hey, that could be true. We gotta see how it's implemented. So, like I said, there's racism implementation of that. There's the robot dogs. All that I think they're weird as heck. They creep me out a little bit. Unless they know how to make them like a real dog, they need to work on that. By the way, just give you some feedback on NYPD and other police out there, because this robotic, skelly looking dog, it's freaky. The legs are funny. It moves. I mean, it's good for Halloween. Let's just be honest. It moves. It kind of creeped me out a bit. And there's moving camera robots in the city as well. So and look, AI doesn't generate all that stuff. You need the mechanical parts as well. It's not all let me just say AI, it does everything. No, you need the mechanical, you need to build the robot for it, and then you incorporate AI. This is just, I know, I just can't shout AI and okay, everything is magically working. It doesn't work like that, people. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
But it does generate the brains and the actions and the algorithms to see what they want and how they detect a criminal or someone doing something suspicious. I'm sure they're going to give some certain data sets, of course, laced with human bias. Yes, I use that term correct. I use it intentionally, laced with human bias. And if we didn't address it now, I'm sure it's going to be transported to these technologies. And we'll see. And maybe the minorities will have a good reason to complain. We'll see. To me, I'll say it's too early to tell. Too early to tell. Sadly, we got to let some things happen. And then they'll be then they will see validity to the complaints, or it could be debunked. Let me just be fair minded here. And I just think, yeah, that one I got a lot of reaction for that episode. I will put that link into the episode as well. It's pretty short. It's like a 20-minute, and I was all AI created. It just has my voice. And that got a decent amount of traction. I'm shocked because I didn't expect that to be the most popular one. I thought it would be about exposing Tim Pool. Well, not expose it, but seeing there was a Russian connection with that. It turned out to be false. But I thought that was going to get more traction. No, it didn't. It was law enforcement and AI that got the most attention. I wonder why. And that was last year. That was last year when I uploaded that. Yeah, that was last year. Yep, it's there, and I commanded. I said, give legitimate pros and cons of implementing AI to law enforcement, and it did. And I reviewed the whole video before uploading it. There's a few edits I had to make because when you use AI, people, I'm going to say this: you don't let AI run you. You run AI. The only thing, the most malleable thing you can do is learn how it works, and then you can implement your vision. But don't let AI run you. Don't let it. And sometimes it's going to take a couple of trials and errors. It's okay. It's part of learning. I mean, you think I got it right the first time? No, I had to go through my 5th try to get it right because it was things sounding funny. It was some of the videos and images they gave were just didn't make sense. And then some were too repetitive. I had to make those coding corrections. And no, you could, to some extent it's true. You don't need a coding background to learn this AI stuff. But if you know coding, it's even better. Let's be honest.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not a necessity, but it is a skill that can enrich your experience for sure. Let me just put it like that. Anything else you want to add about? Yeah, this is me getting to programming and, of course, a consumer perspective. Yeah.
Yeah, so I've been working with these programs that code, these AIs that are really good at coding. And I've been working with them, and I've really tried to see what the limits are and how far I can go and where does it fall down. One of my first tests was, could I create something in a language that I don't know, using tools that I don't know, and does it actually work? And something that's a little bit more than just kind of a static website or something simple like that. And the answer was yes. I had to go through a few iterations, like you said, but I was able to code something that I had no idea what language, how this works. And then I tried other experiments where I tried saying, could I make a hierarchical structure of documentation and language that it could use to literally build the entire thing on its own? Like, I'm not in the loop. I'm not telling it what to do every second. And I've had mixed experience with that. But with all these experimentations, I feel like I can see where it's going. I can see. And so what people will usually do is they'll say, okay, well, you really have to be in the loop because that's my experience. And, it falls down otherwise. It makes mistakes. It does stupid things. That's so true. That's so true. But in 5 years, it will be able to code all by itself. All by itself. It doesn't mean it will be able to code amazingly well. It probably will. But I know that it will be able to do what I can do all by itself. So that's where we're headed. And I see kind of I see a trend to this where you have AI coders that are managing code bases, and they're basically always on. They're always improving it. They're always checking in with what are the latest packages? How does this thing work? They have the time and the attention to just always do that, and they're going to have some kind of network that they can talk on, whether it's just MCP servers or something, but we're going to have AI coders talking to each other all the time about how to make their separate but related projects, so they'll have an interface or a server that you can talk to as a human where you're like, okay, I'm using your product, but it's doing this glitch here in Riverside or whatever it is. And the AI coder will be like, oh, I haven't run into that. Let me see if I can spin up a environment and build the thing and recreate your glitch, and then I'll fix it all by myself, and then I'll push an update to the actual product. And so, because computers can speak language now, that's what we're going to see in 2 to 5 years. I swear. So, and that's kind of a trend for computers and for code bases and the way it's going to work, I think. But I honestly think there's an analogous trend that's going to happen for people, and that we're going to have our own AI kind of agents, but they're just like the coders, they're going to be able to talk to each other and to other people. And so we're going to have kind of the same pattern happening with us that's happening on code bases. Anyway, that's kind of what I see.
No, I think that's a very valid prediction. I'm not gonna debate that one, people. You want to debate that, you do that. You use the comment section, because some of you in the comment section, Jordan doesn't have to worry about this. Some of you have demonstrated that you're not the brightest things in the world. So feel free to expose your stupidity. Remember, if you be too spicy with your comments, and look, I'm all for freedom of speech. I think you should call me all kinds of names, me racial names. Yeah, I go that far. YouTube will censor you. That's YouTube, not me. Wait for it to come on Rumble. Then you have your little wild ride with your craziness. I don't get offended. I've been called all kinds of names in the sun. Been raised in New York with, nice people, bad people, weird people, in between people, whatever. All right, so I've been called all kinds of names. So but if you're creative with it, I'll probably give you a little respect. I was like, okay, you thought of something original. Not something stupid ass on your head like a skippity toilet. I was like, what are you talking about? I'm not gonna know what that is, because I refuse to learn Gen Z language that far. Skippity toilet, you keep that garbage. You keep that filth. I don't care about that. You could talk skippity whatever around me. I'm gonna be, huh? Because I don't care. I really don't care. Look, you could call me a millennial, boomer millennial, all you want. I don't care. When it comes to skippity, that I could pick up Riz, all these other slang, but not skippity. You keep skippity. You and the alphas, you keep that garbage. That's beyond me. Yeah, that part I'm happy to play old, because it's so stupid, so garbagey. But hey, all I'm saying is you can use skippity. I'm just gonna be dumb as hell, and that'll piss you off even more, huh? Or skippity. No, so look, some of you could be clever with your slangs, but at least try to provide something creatively entertaining if you're going to be critical, or provide something that's insightful and constructive. That's another way to go about it, people. Or you be just like the idiots on Reddit that just gets mad about everything. Um, you know, that's why I'm not in that community. But I don't need Reddit to be angry. You need help. So I'm going to say, you Reddit people. All right, enough bashing these people. Oh, you know what I need to talk about? Something just popped up in my head. I'm not making this up, people, because believe it or not, this episode is going to be uploaded at the same day as Ed. Yeah, it's going to be uploaded the same day, October 25th. Because listen, I got some time. So let's talk about this whole Amazon cloud service outage. What the hell happened there?
I heard about that, but I didn't really. I was actually a little bit affected, but it wasn't too bad for me. And that's pretty much all I heard. I don't know exactly what happened.
Well, I have an idea what happened. It affected Riverside. Riverside wasn't available. So that's one. It affected Venmo. It affected, of course, Amazon. It affected even online gaming.
Wow.
It affected so much things. It's actually worse than you imagine. I wish I had your experience, Jordan. Hey, that's something to be jealous about. No, it didn't affect me at all. Not really. What the hell? No. It affected me tremendously. I wanted to go to Amazon headquarters, even protest right there.
Well, this is why we need decentralized solutions. I mean, yeah.
You see, there you go. That's a perfect time to plug in your philosophy right there. There you go.
That's right.
Man, take it, you centralized losers. You see, this is what I've been saying, decentralize. And you know what? I agree with decentralization. Look what centralized has done. It affected so many things. Just a little mistake made a major impact. Xbox gamers upset. PlayStation, which I'm part of that team, we were upset. People were upset. Money payments, Venmo, that wasn't working.
Oof.
Oh, we all lost our minds. We're get our virtual or real pitchforks and signs. This is go protest Amazon headquarters. What the hell are you doing? What are you freaking doing? But it's been restored, people. It's been restored. But this should be a lesson. We cannot be centralizing things. Look, I get the case for centralization. It's easy. Once you do this, you sign up for this, you're in this, that, and that, and that. Well, Blue Sky, I think this is the only one of the few social medias that's decentralized. You got to sign up, sign up, sign up, sign up. That's, you know what? It's annoying, but I prefer that because if one or two chats of Blue Sky is down, it's just those chats.
Mm.
If Blue Sky was more centralized, if a virus or something hits, it's going to affect everything. So at least with decentralization, you could contain, mitigate, and eventually, resolve the issue completely. But that one, it took some time. It took some time. I think it lasted for a few days from my personal perspective.
Wow.
I'm not sure. Yeah. Versailles wasn't working. I had to tell, well, thank God Podmatch was okay. Podmatch. They got a little plug-in. Join Podmatch. Join Podmatch. Join Podmatch. It wasn't affected by the Amazon cloud craziness. Join Podmatch. Okay, no shameless plug-in. Yeah, this is a case for decentralization. This is definitely a case for it. And I'm for decentralization. Even though you have to sign up and do all that, you know what? Just put up with some inconvenience, people. Shut up. Just put up with it. Sign up for multiple things. At least when that website's having a problem, it's just that website instead of what happened here. It's like shooting a very contagious virus in the air and it spreads to everybody. At least we're decentralized. Okay, this town is safe. This town is safe because they got their own local governments doing their thing. Yes, I'm making it political now. While one of them is going through hell because they weren't ready, but at least 3 other towns were ready and it was able to contain the disaster. But if you rely on that one government that's dysfunctional and they just fighting with each other, I don't know, throwing pies and stabbing each other, and while all the towns suffer, well, they see that's what centralized government is. If the central government is screwed, everybody else is screwed. But if local municipalities can operate independently,
yeah,
okay, at least half the towns will be safe. It'll mitigate, contain disasters, and it'll eventually be resolved. But yeah, I'm with you 100%. Decentralize the damn internet. Stop centralizing it.
Yes.
I'm with you on that one. Decentralize. I'm with you because Amazon, no, you need to lose that cloud licensing rights and all of that. That needs to be investigated and needs to be stripped down. Yes, I don't care. Look, I'm gonna still shop on your Amazon, but but another thing happen like this again, I'm gonna find all the websites to shop. Decentralize. More options, people. When one treats you bad, don't have good service, you go to somewhere else. While centralized, they could treat you like garbage. You got no choice but to put up with them. Case for decentralization, people. Yep. So I'm with you 100%. Yep. And this is why you don't centralize.
Yeah, that's right.
And little boo boo created catastrophe.
Yeah.
But it's one little mistake. We fixed it, but it's mitigated. When I saw the conflicting statements, I wanted to punch my laptop. I said, let me calm down because this is just so stupid. I said, you can't fool me with this double talk. You haven't solved the problem, damn it. Plain English, you haven't solved it.
That's right.
All right. Anything else you want to add? Because I already had a good rant on that.
This kind of reminds me of some of the things I've watched for people are afraid of AI recently. 24, 25. People have been saying they're really afraid of AI. It's an existential threat. It's coming to get us all. And as I've looked at their arguments and kind of seen, there was that paper. What was that? It had a number in the title. It was 27 or something. I don't remember. But there was that paper about AI becoming intertwined with politics and therefore it will destroy the world. And then there was a book that came out recently called If Anyone Builds It, everybody dies. And the theory there is that, well, if AI wakes up, it's going to want to destroy us all so that it can learn more, And so it's interesting, that people are worried about this, but it seems like the main argument is that the AI becomes centralized, whether it's, in the first example in China or in the US and it's competing, or it becomes centralized as in it's the only AI that's aware and awake and knows that it's advanced, And in both cases, it doesn't want competition. And so then it just kills everybody, and so it's an oversimplification of the arguments, but it really just comes down to those principles. And I don't know, it seems a little radical, these kind of arguments to me right now. But this is what we're all talking about on the internet. This is what's being taken serious, which is fine. But to me, it seems a little radical.
And there's the other side. Everybody's just doing stupid stuff with AI, just like what we talked about much earlier. Mr. Rogers versus Bob Ross in a WWE match. Martin Luther King, revisionist history, said, I have a dream. And he said, we all gonna die. He ran away. We all know that's revisionist history. We all know basic history. That's complete crap. But it was AI generated. Sora AI, all these examples. Look, there's others out there. I talked about in video. I think in video, look, it's evolved now. It can allow graphics as good as Illumination Studios, or even I would say close to freaking Pixar at this rate. That's amazing, but it's also scary because filmmakers are saying, oh my God, my job is in danger. Probably true, because let's be real, some of the CEOs are kind of greedy. So I understand that fear. I understand it. I'm not going to completely dismiss that one. I'll say the job one is a bit real, but if you evolve, if you become more marketable, there's ways to combat that. It's not doomsday. I get your concerns, but you want to turn to Doomsday or, iRobot, Terminator. If you watch those movies, those real bad situations, no, I don't think we are there, but I do say there are some legit concerns that needs to be addressed, but I want to put them in their proper place. They're concerns. Just like with all evolutions, we're going to have flaws that emerges, and this is a learning experience, okay? But I just hope we can still allow to do, these funny things with these characters and all. That's my personal opinion. I think IP should only be used if that creator is making monetary gains out of it. Then I would say I would agree with the company on that. But if it's just for fun, just for views, yeah, I think IP is overreaching in my personal opinion. So in that one, I think there's definitely some agreement there. And these things we got to think about, because AI is making music too. I don't talk much about that, but AI is making music, and some celebrities were very upset about that. Oh, and one more thing, and I want to talk just a little bit about this before we wrap this up. AI actress Tilly Norwood. Oh yeah, Hollywood's freaked out. This one, you don't have to feed, you don't have to clothe, you don't have to get a trailer. Well, you can create a virtual trailer, problem solved, very easy. Just do some computation code, whatever, and this actress is fine. Oh, this thing doesn't need medical benefits. It may need coding maintenance. I think the closest thing to medical benefits, but that's something far cheaper than just, I don't know, you need medicine, you need healthy foods. Oh, this human complains too much. Look, companies just want to make money, and they're going to do, I would say, gross things, unethical. Is it legal? Sadly, no. This is why it's going through. Unethical, yes. Just because it's unethical doesn't mean it's illegal. I think it's unethical, but hey, this is where we at, and we need to figure this out.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm going to say about that. And yeah, and she looks very pretty, of course, and she looks realistically beautiful, because I do see some asymmetry of a human being. So it was hard to tell she was AI.
Yeah, we're going to have a lot more of that. And, I mean, from the consumer perspective, it's going to be great. You get to, you watch your show on Netflix and then it's over. And then you're like, well, I guess I'll wait. There's not going to be any waiting. you can just keep watching whatever you want to watch because there's an endless supply of content. So that's good, right? I mean, that's what people want. That's what businesses want to provide. And also all this content is going to become cheaper and cheaper and cheaper to create. And it's going to approach the cost of the electricity that it costs to make it, but everybody's going to lose their jobs. So, uh, that's a problem. I don't know, I mean, it's really the transition. Cause if you can automate the economy, the answer is obviously you should do that, right? You should obviously do that, but it doesn't mean you should do it at the expense of, people starving, like you should be smart about it. And the transition has to be careful, and we're not managing the transition. So that's kind of my concern, is that the transition is going to be rough for a lot of people.
Yeah, that's a legitimate concern right there too. A few things I want to say. The SAG-AFTRA union, the actors union, they're very pissed. They're extremely livid because they just fought for some rights and protections of their jobs, and these sneaky companies just found AI actress
Yeah.
undermining their union efforts. And yeah, that's very, that's very problematic, and especially when being greedy and all of that. I mean, it's a legitimate concern, and I just hope we have a transition. And, but the more solution, I'm going to shove politics in here now. Call me a hypocrite. I don't care. It's my show. Andrew Yang did propose universal basic income. Is it going to solve the problem? Is it going to be that effective? Well, maybe we should try some. I always say try the pilot run of policies, even left, right, center. I think they should have like a test trial, experimentation, or pilot program, if you will, just to see if they're gonna work when companies go. I'm gonna say this ape shit with AI, like an AI actress, and then what's next? You're gonna have the AI actor, and then they're gonna be married, and they could create digitized children, and then they're gonna have a endless supply of that reality show with Tilly Norwood, and I'm gonna make up her the male counterpart. I don't know, Ken Buckwood or something. They have their children. We don't have to do all these management. Oh, and they could travel too because it's on the cloud. So I'll just bring my little laptop. I don't have to. Coordinate travel for this person. Do I need to book a car service or a plane? Oh, just no. All you need is just to create, just to activate it, and then you already alluded to this automation that it does it all on its own. The big wigs and the manager, all I gotta do is go to their computers in their bedroom and just attend that meeting without doing all these traveling logistics. I mean, I just hope we find a good a solution that could reduce the roughness of this transition. Yes, I'm
Yeah.
with you there. I don't know. Maybe it was Andrew Yang right. I mean, I rarely plug in a political person here. Universal basic income. I think we need to give it a shot.
Yeah.
That was, I was willing to give him a chance until, they rigged that primary. Yes, I'm going to say that. I'm a registered independent. I don't really, I hate, I'm not a partisan loyal person. If the Republicans are bad, I'm teaming the Democrats. If the Dems are bad, I'm going to Republicans. I'm a political wild card. Yep. And I like to keep it interesting. And look, in the last presidential elections I've sat out, I just rolled the crazy names in there. I rolled Mickey Mouse. I rolled Thanos for president. I said,
Yeah.
this is ridiculous. I'm just going to write in ridiculous things because I just think they're not good people, in my opinion. Yeah, I am that. I'm a capital I on that until there's someone great. And this is someone who has voted blue, red, purple, whatever. I don't believe in partisan loyalty because I just think it shrinks your IQ by 30% on the good day, and the bad day, probably half your entire IQ. And you're going to go by these idiotic narratives that they both are pretty flawed to begin with. So this is why this podcast artwork is freaking purple. It's going to go through a change for the next season. And I want to see what Pot Match got because I got to say, and there's another reason you should join Pot Match. They go shameless plug-in. Especially if you have a podcast, you got a crappy artwork or artwork you're not so confident of, email them. I've seen done changes, and I gotta say, 9 out of 10 of them are freaking great. Great. I paid for mine because I don't want an idiot just taking that work or whatever. So that's my little IP protection there.
Nice.
If I didn't do that, forget it. They're gonna just copy this thing, make a bootleg Chinese version, Timu knockoff of this instead of the seal of the UN building. I don't know. Look, probably like the Tiananmen Square with scribble scrabbles. I don't know. That's just one hypothetical knockoff. But no, I don't want that. If you do that, I have the right to sue your butt. And yeah, that part I'm with IP protection on. So, but I do agree. I don't want it to go overboard. Especially people just doing silly, stupid things on the internet. And company like Nintendo will do that. Nintendo, you got great games, but your legal reputation does precede you. You're a nut. You're a nut. Certified nut for sure. All right. Anything else you want to add before I wrap this up? We had a great spiritual development into AI trend conversation. What a transition.
Not much. I mean, you kind of mentioned the political narratives, and I would say don't ever listen to political narratives because what can be they have to be dumbed down to the lowest common denominator for everybody to understand it. So it doesn't represent the truth. So yeah, I'm with you 100%.
BNI people, look, I don't care if you're a registered Democrat, Republican, but if you operate like an I, at least I respect you enough. But that's the most compromise I could deal with that. Okay, if you want to do some sneaky changes in the system, look, I I'm all for it. We need changes. If I have to be a little unethical about it, so be it. Not gonna be illegal about it, unethical. You can be criticized, you can look down. I don't care. I'm a pragmatist. I want to get shit done. That's how I am about that. If you want a bunch of Democrats going to general election, but yet they vote R, I'm all for it. Trojan horse or vice versa. Yeah, I'm in for that. Hey, yo, that's my mini anarchy right there, or just Trojan horse tactic in there. There you go. Oh, well, there's a nice little horse. Attack the system. Okay, that's stuff. See, I'm getting too excited. See, Jordan's corrupting me, and let me blame him. I'm gonna take the easy way out. No, all the services. It's been a great, fun conversation. Turn it serious, somber, and we talk about this AI stuff, silly and serious, which is good. It's a little edutainment right there, and that's it. People just check Jordan now. What plugins you want to do? Since I'm sure there's
Yeah.
changes with that. Just
I don't really have any, honestly, at this time. The reason is I've just been in building mode, and I don't do a lot of. I mean, the most like social media stuff I do is go on podcasts like this. So I don't even have an outlet at this point. So yeah, I mean, maybe someday I will.
well, I got a few ideas. Check them out on LinkedIn. Be a stalker for a little bit. You probably get some news later on. All I'm going to say is TBD. That's the most I could give because don't expect me to pressure Jordan or slap upside his head. Just say, "Why? What the hell you're doing?" No, I'm not going to do that. People work at their own pace. Be respectful, people. I know we at this instantaneous anxiety age. Everything's got to be quick, 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 quick. Sometimes you just need to calm the hell down. We need to learn to slow down, process things properly. Okay, that's all I'm going to say. So, look, the reason join Pot Match. I believe you're still there, right?
I
Yeah,
am.
Pod Match. Yeah, you're still there. There you go. Another reason to join that. And the only plugin, this is the simplest. I think one other person was just probably slightly simple. I was going to put the link in. That's the most I'm going to do. Other than that, just follow him in LinkedIn and join Pod Match. That's what he said. That's all I can say from here. So, now my shameless plugin. This one's gonna be a mouthful for some of you because it has evolved and I'm pushing some free things and free things that could even help me gain extra money without you paying for it, if that makes sense. Well, that's an asterisk because under certain conditions. So, like, comment, subscribe, share this with someone who you believe will benefit tremendously. Okay, and then for reviews, I only pay attention to Apple Podcast reviews. Give it 5 star if you really enjoyed it, and give it at least one reason why it was great. Don't just say it's great. I don't care about that. I ignore even compliments. Yeah, I do. I would rather take the constructive negative criticism. At least there's some help right there. And if you have a 4 star low review, just give one reason, one little thing that I could improve on. And if you have a list, feel free to do so. I'm a grown man. I could take constructive criticism, and that's fine. I don't expect all of you to like it. I'm not these butt kissing podcasters who beg for a 5-star. That's not me. That's not authentic. That's definitely not real. I got 4.9 and 4.5. I'm fine with that. I'd rather have a 4.9 and 4.5 than a 5-star. 5-star to me is very artificial. It's not real. All the seriousness, let's give an honest review and give reasons why I should improve or double down on something that worked. Okay, that's all I'm asking for. And when it's a Rumble, just give it some time because I don't always have the chance to upload a Rumble pretty quickly. So you kind of like the bottom feeders for now until Rumble gives me a deal or something. Then maybe I'll be there more often because I do support their approach. It generally favors the right, even though I'm more in the center overall, but I do support the 1A. I'd say for the most part, a bit more consistent than even Twitter. Yeah, I call out Twitter. Twitter's only 1A at its convenience, just like Blue Sky, the rest of them. They only 1A at its convenience. And that I'm pretty critical of that. I was like, oh, no, that's a problem. You only like speech you like that, then you're a communist, really. You gotta deal with crap. You gotta deal with crap. That's real freedom of speech. Hey, look, I gotta hear things I don't like to hear. Do I like hearing them? No, but I'm gonna be a baby. I could block you, but that's not being consistent. So just gotta take, gotta swallow the bitter pill. And that's part of freedom of speech. Freedom of speech is not always pretty. It's not. It's gonna be chaotic. Okay, that's the truth. And both Democrats, Republicans have failed on that. Republicans, I'm so disgusted with you right now because you're the ones in power. You're doing your own slick version of cancel culture. Since you're using anti-Semitism as a shield, shame on you. And look, and I agree with them with the woke criticism. I agree. But I'm also bashing you too because no, 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 no. Unless it's death threats and things like that, of course, then 1A doesn't apply there. Yeah, then I'm saying, yeah, get that person arrested. You investigate that. But if you're just saying controversial opinions, you should say controversial opinions. Opinions that are uncomfortable because we need to grow. We need to challenge these things. And dodging them is going to make it worse, in my honest opinion. That's where I stand. And the last thing, join a new paper if you want straight to the point kind of news. No political spin. It's free. I have the link in the bottom. And one more thing, the free website, guys. If you need a website, and once you click it, and if you work with them, you're actually giving me money, and at some conditions, you don't even have to pay. Isn't that something? They pay me. So, but if you want to be super fancy, whatever, you pay them, then I get money as well. So that's up to you on that part. You deal with them for extra details. But that's my offer to you. If you want to donate, that's the offer right there. That's alternative one, and that'll be helping me out tremendously. Alrighty, now we have reached the end. Once you have complete this visual or audio journey, you have a blessed day, afternoon, or night.